I was sitting with someone having dinner and he looked at me and said, "You're going to die." In a span of like 3-4 months, I reversed all my conditions, lost the weight, never felt better. And in the last 11 years, I haven't touched a drop of medicine.
You lost almost 30 kilos in 4 months. How safe is that?
It's not safe. I mean, it's intoxicating, no, to lose weight.
Of course it's intoxicating.
Someone came to us with a 90% blockage in their main artery. They'd gone to Medanta in Delhi and they said voluntarily that I don't want to get operated. Someone had called us with his grandmother who had a morning fasting of 600. So we put her on a ketogenic diet for like 7 days. Her blood sugar came to 100. We actually get medical doctors who come to us.
Medical doctors who come to you?
Yeah, for sure.
For what?
For reversal of diseases. Cardiovascular doctor coming for reversal of cardiovascular. I think the human body is designed to walk. I think the human body is not designed to run long distances.
What's your take on alcohol?
Not even a drop of alcohol is good for you.
What's your take on Ozempic and Mounjaro?
So we see the blowback. Now I'm clear why I lived those 14 near-death experiences, because I've been given this blessing of helping other people.
Being a workaholic at the expense of your health and fitness may bring you huge profits, but it will also bring you a rude, life-threatening shock at some point. That's exactly what happened to our guest on this episode of Buzz by the Bay, who suffered a health crisis in his late 30s, which forced him to dramatically alter his lifestyle and nutrition habits. He not only reversed his metabolic diseases by losing almost 30 kilos in 4 months, he is now a wellness scientist and entrepreneur who helps others do the same. Very pleased to welcome on the show Ritesh Bawri.
So first of all, thank you so much. It's a deep honor and a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you, Ritesh. Your own story is quite inspiring. You know, you had a huge health setback. You were only work focused. And, you know, then you decided to take your life in your own hands, change your lifestyle. You studied physiology at Harvard Medical School.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Nutrition at Tufts.
Yes, I did.
Reversed hypertension, type 2 diabetes, lost all this weight. Quite incredible. And this without taking
any medicine.
Medication.
Any medicine at all, yes.
Why did you refuse to take medication?
Sure. So first of all, again, thank you. Really happy to be here. Let me start in the beginning. I'm someone who's been very fortunate. Karma has been very kind to me. I'm someone who's almost died 14 times in my life.
14 times?
Yeah, so I've had multiple car accidents. I've fallen off a 2-story building. My hands and legs have caught fire. My mom and I almost died in a plane crash.
What?
And so the story that you're telling actually is the 14th near-death experience. Like you said, I was 40. I was sitting with someone having dinner and he looked at me and said, "You're going to die." And I said, "It's not right. Like, people don't talk like that." So I swallowed my ego and called him the next day and I said, "Listen, you said all these things. Why did you say it?" I'm someone who came from a cement manufacturing background, so clearly I knew nothing about health. I thought he was talking to me about some ghost, or like he saw my hand or he saw my face, or he read, you know, something on my face. But then he started asking me questions like, "Why are you coughing? Why is your face flushed? Why is your waist the way it is? Why are you sweating?" Those are not questions that normally people ask. After like a 2-minute gap, I was irritated as hell. I said, "Listen, get to the point and tell me why I'm dying," right? And he said, "Look, those are the reasons you're dying. Because all those are indicative of the fact that there's something seriously wrong with you. And if you don't fix it now, in the next 7-10 years, you're going to have a serious cardiac issue." I was arrogant. I was full of self-confidence. I'm an entrepreneur, right? I think the world doesn't turn unless I wake up. But he said test. So we tested and lo and behold, of course, I was bronchoasthmatic. I had a fatty liver. I had type 2 diabetes. I had hypertension. Stuff I didn't know.
All the metabolic diseases you could
have. Yeah,
have.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, frankly, I didn't know. Like, if anyone had ever told me you have blood pressure, in my head at least I would have said, no, I give other people blood pressure. Right? Like, what blood pressure? There's no blood pressure, right? And so, of course, we tested and everything came true. And then I was panicked. I was like, okay, what do we do? That's, I think, what set off this journey of living. Perhaps, hopefully, my last near-death experience.
Yeah.
In a span of like 3-4 months, I reversed all my conditions, lost the weight, never felt better. And in the last 11 years, I haven't touched a drop of medicine.
Haven't touched a drop of medicine. But before I go on to this weight loss journey, I want to touch upon what you said earlier. You're clearly a spiritual person.
I am.
You spoke about karma.
Yeah.
You said it's obviously your karma that has, you know, kept you alive.
Yes.
Also, you said this was your 14th near-death experience and you didn't find the need to take medicine. Is it because you felt Did that have something to do with like your belief in karma, or what was it?
No. So, I mean, I would have been foolish not to have taken medicine if I needed to.
Yeah.
Let me split the answer in two parts. I think I'm I'm a believer in spirituality. Now I'm clear why I lived those 14 near-death experiences, because I've been given this blessing of helping other people. Every single day I meet people whose lives I change for the better. And I think that's why I lived. So that's the karmic aspect of thing. As far as the discovery is concerned, fortunately, actually, as soon as I discovered I was unwell, I was also given the cure. And medically, I could cure myself. So my HbA1c fell from like 7 to 5. My morning fasting fell from 140 to 70. My blood pressure went from 150, 110 to like 105, 65. So in fact, you can't take medicines in those conditions.
So that was because of lifestyle and dietary changes.
In the beginning, all I did was food. I changed my food very drastically. Stress would cause me to eat like endlessly. I live in Calcutta.
Yes.
You get something called kathi roll. I could
Yeah.
eat 6 without blinking an eye.
But you're vegetarian.
I'm vegetarian, but I
Yeah.
could eat 6 of the kathi rolls without
Yeah.
blinking an eye. So what I did was change my lifestyle a lot. That led to, I'd say, 80-90%.
Yeah.
The other things came later, frankly.
Other things came later. But before I go on, because I'm very intrigued by what you said that you and your mother almost died in a plane crash.
Yeah.
So the plane crashed, but you survived?
No, so we were flying between a city called Shillong
Yeah, I know.
and
Shillong.
Calcutta,
Yeah.
and it was a propeller plane.
Okay.
What was supposed to be like a 1 hour flight was a 3.5 hour flight.
Oh gosh.
We spent the extra time in the storm, basically going up and down, up and down, up and down. The pilot actually announced, he said, listen, there's no chance. So pray to whoever you want to pray to. It's very unlikely we're going to get out of this. We spent about 2 something hours in the storm, up and down, up and down, up and down. Yeah.
And you burnt your hands and legs.
Yeah, so multiple, like I said, 5-6 car accidents.
And fallen from a 2-story.
We had a home, my sister and I were playing, and there was a railing, and I slipped through the railing and fell down, split my head. I was like 4 years old.
You
So
survived.
yeah, I've survived all of this, so I believe there's a purpose.
So I thought this interview was going to be about nutrition and metabolic disease, but after you said all this, I just had to
Sure.
deviate a bit and ask you about all this. And it's interesting because it all ties in, because you said now know the reason why you survived. It's to help other people.
Yes.
I was reading a bit of your profile. It says you rejected pharmaceuticals. You chose natural science-based healing over conventional medication and proved that it works. But we have to acknowledge that medicines are also life-saving. Like sometimes you have to take a statin or you have to take blood pressure medicine. I mean, when you advise people, I guess, you judge case by case who needs a medication, who doesn't.
No, so I'm not qualified to judge.
Okay.
But what I'm qualified to do is to be logical about it.
Okay.
And so, for example, if someone came to me with high blood pressure, let's say 140, 110, then let's say we said, okay, let's take 60 days. And in 60 days, if your blood pressure can come down to 110, 70 without any medicine, then go back to your doctor and say, these are my numbers, you check.
Right.
And if you still get the 110, 70, then don't give me the medicine.
Yeah. So you're not a medical doctor.
I'm not qualified to be.
But you studied physiology and you
I
studied
did.
nutrition.
Yes.
At obviously the top institutes in the world.
Yes, I did. Yes, absolutely. So let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Someone came to us with a 90% blockage in their main artery.
Oh.
They'd gone to Medanta in Delhi, and they said voluntarily that I don't want to get operated. I'd like a 3-month window to fix things. If I can, then can I come back and validate? So then they worked with us for 3 months. We brought the blockage down to like 60%. They went back to Medanta, and Medanta said, sure, you don't need anything.
So they didn't need a stent
No,
or
they
anything.
didn't. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you brought the blockage down.
Yeah.
And before we go on, how did you? What did you do? What was your protocol?
At the risk of maybe being a little bit technical, the
That's
body
fine.
is actually very, very, very powerful. It has a self-cleansing mechanism. So when you look at your cholesterol profile, you have LDL and HDL. The HDL is actually the sponge, cleaning up the entire sort of fat in your arteries. If you have a ratio 1:1, 1 LDL, 1 HDL, the HDL is actually already acting as a sponge. So our goal was just to simply lift up the HDL, lower the LDL, which is literally weight loss.
Yeah.
If you reduce the weight, the LDL triglycerides will go down.
Yeah.
We increase the HDL by adding more omega-3. And then in 3 months, the system got cleansed.
Okay, so you increase the HDL, which is a good cholesterol.
Yes.
You lower the LDL, which is a bad cholesterol.
Yeah.
and you gave omega-3.
Because omega-3 converts into HDL in the body.
Okay.
So you want to increase the intake of omega-3. Ghee, actually, counterintuitively. Most people run away from ghee when they have heart issues.
Okay.
But ghee is a wonderful source of omega-3.
So you gave him
Yeah.
ghee.
Yeah, we give him ghee. We gave him flax seeds, for example.
Okay.
And that increased the HDL. It's self-cleansed.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
You know, that is impressive. That's great. So coming to your story,
Yeah.
you lost almost 30 kilos in 4 months.
Yeah.
How safe is that?
It's not safe. Remember, I was very ignorant when I did what I did. I essentially controlled my nutrition. I started eating a lot less, frankly. I didn't do what now we profess, which is balance. You want to eat every single thing that the human body needs. I wasn't eating that. Given the knowledge I possess today, I would not do what I'd done then.
You would not.
Yeah, I would take a year.
A year to lose that 30
Yeah.
kilos,
Yeah.
not 4 months. So you look drastically cut down your intake of food.
I mean, it's intoxicating, no, to lose weight.
Of course, it's intoxicating.
But
Agreed.
that's what happened to me.
It is, because somewhere, you know, we all have that vanity. I mean, let's face it, not only for the health reasons, but that vanity, everybody has it. You know, it is intoxicating. Suddenly everybody's telling you you're looking amazing, and but that's the way society is.
Yeah,
you know, but the truth is one needs to lose the weight or lose a fat
Yeah.
because for your own health.
Retrospectively, I understand better. So fat's living tissue. When you have fat in your body, it's living tissue. If it's surrounding your liver, for example, it's consuming nutrition, it's consuming oxygen, depriving your liver, for example, of the same thing. And so therefore then you develop the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4 fatty liver. That's why you're getting fatty liver, which is why the fat is bad for you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying zero. A woman should have like 23% at least.
Okay.
A man should have, I'd say, anything below 20%. So we're not talking of zero fat, we're just talking of low fat. But it's really important. It's a medical issue, it's not an optical issue.
So I read some articles about this drastic weight loss, about 30 kgs in 4 months, and there are a lot of doctors who say, well, that is the safe upper limit.
Yeah.
Beyond that, you shouldn't go. And also, people who are obese and have insulin resistance, they tend to see faster results anyway. So it's not totally abnormal to lose that much.
No, I mean, I did what I did. With hindsight, I'd probably have done it slower. But like I said, it was just so much fun. Every week on week on week, I was just losing weight.
Yeah.
And then I got to a point where like everybody was complimenting me, right? And that's the ultimate high.
Yeah.
Like people said, you've shrunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just the ultimate high.
Of course, it's a high, it's like a drug. Yeah. You've written that I approached it the way I would approach a business turnaround. So let's get into detail about what you did, because I've read an article and you've also written that 25 years of no movement, a processed diet, chronic stress, bad sleep.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this turnaround.
Yeah. So, I had somehow seduced myself into thinking it was normal. Like I'm an entrepreneur and, aches, pains, headaches, gastric issues are just part of parcel of being an entrepreneur. Is the price I'm paying. So I didn't think it was wrong. I thought it was perfectly normal. It's just like I said, because I had this intervention, I was able to make that change. Once you make the change and you start waking up and realizing what it means to actually be healthy, which I don't think I last felt when maybe I was 10. That's what I think led to this whole journey. It's been 11 years. I've just been studying this subject. And the more you study, the more you realize you know very, very little.
The more you study, the more you realize you know very little.
Yeah, it's just such a complex system. The human body is so complex
Okay.
that actually no one really understands it.
But what works for one person may not work for another person, right?
Entirely possible, yes.
But there are certain things, like you said, you gave up processed food completely.
When I was sick, I would seek noodles.
When you were sick,
Quick
you would
noodles,
seek
yeah.
noodles. Okay. Fine. And then you cut all that out.
Yes.
What did you do about your movement?
Yeah, so actually again, very funny story. One day something was happening in the home and my wife pushed me and I fell down. And that became like a huge ego issue for me. Like, how can someone push me and I fall down? I'm Marwari. Marwaris are not famous for going to gyms. And actually again, it's also a little bit of an identity issue. Like as an identity, I identified myself as the intelligent, well-read, buddhi wale type person, right? Not the, me swinging type
Brains,
person.
not broad.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's how we grew up.
Yeah.
So I did have the identity of someone who was fit. When I first went to the gym, I couldn't do one squat. Like my entire hands and legs were burning. But I think I'd read enough by then to realize that actually brawn gives you brain. If your body is in a sense of balance, your brain actually functions better.
I mean, that's what yoga believes too, right? A healthy body leads to a healthy mind and vice versa.
Absolutely.
A healthy mind can also lead to a healthy body.
Absolutely.
There's a continuum. Right. So that's what you did. You also talk about a toxic trainer.
Yeah.
So what happened? Like he pushed you too hard.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's our fault because when we wake up and want to be healthy, then suddenly I want to switch from 0 to 1, right? I want to go from being completely unhealthy to like overnight just being really healthy. So I think the entire training world is built around that, like to push, push, push. So when I first went, he said run. And he turned the treadmill to like 17 speed and he said run. Like here's a guy who barely could walk into the gym and he's saying run. And now my ego is kicking in, right? I'm like, listen, I need to do something. I think I ran for like 2 minutes and I collapsed.
Obviously.
Yeah, I just collapsed, right? Because I was not capable. But I think there's like a very funny fight between ego and like capacity.
Yeah.
And my ego always wanted to like override it. But that went on for like a year till I switched.
Stressing your body too much isn't that counterproductive, because doesn't that raise your cortisol?
Of course.
Too much working out, and then you can't lose the weight or the fat anyway.
Yeah, because then the cortisol will create hunger.
Yeah.
You'll crave sugar, you'll eat, and then your weight will go up. So actually it's self-defeating.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the name of your company.
Yeah, that is how we name
Balance.
exactly why we named the company Near Balance.
And we'll come to balance later and this homeostasis and all that. But you know, another interesting thing you mentioned in an article is that you always had evening anxiety around 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Every day for years.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah, so now I think I understand the science a little bit better. Actually, the sun is setting. Your body's starting to produce melatonin to prepare you to sleep. So you feel like what you call a dip. More likely than not, since the morning you've been running. Life just makes you run all the time. So you've been running. So you're nearing what they call physical and emotional and mental exhaustion, which manifests as stress in the evening. I felt that for years. And for me, it was largely about, like, am I not good enough? Like, how come, right? Like, why am I the only person who's feeling stressed in the evening? As a man, I should not be stressed. As an entrepreneur, I should not be stressed. As someone who's like supervising like thousands of people, right? How can I be stressed? We start forming all these wrong notions. Stress is actually really good for you. It propels you to act.
Some amount of stress.
Yeah, some amount of stress is really good for you because it propels you to act. In my case, this just became chronic stress because I lacked the understanding and the ability to accept. Like I just didn't have the ability to accept. So I'd always be in denial.
Yeah.
No, it's okay, it's just something else. You know, maybe it's the food, maybe it's work, maybe it's my wife, maybe it's someone else, right? You just keep on blaming someone else. You're always the victim.
Yeah.
Then slowly, as I began to realize what was actually happening, I said, look, I have to figure out what I call disaggregate. So I started disaggregating the problem. Like, why am I stressed? What is actually happening when I'm getting stressed? What's happening in my body? What's happening in my mind? What's happening at an emotional level? And that journey just led me to both understand, but also then resolve.
But you also say that you were probably having this anxiety because of a hypoglycemic crash.
Yes, absolutely. Also. Yeah. So multiple factors coming together.
So if you could explain what is this hypoglycemic crash and why would that induce anxiety?
So think about it this way, right? The most important role for the human body is to survive. Right? In order to survive, I need energy. The primary source of energy is the sugar in my blood. Yeah. If I ate a very high sugar meal, which is what I was doing, sandwiches, pizza, burger, whatever, right? What happens is your sugar jumps very dramatically. For your body, that's toxic, so it starts to try to remove that sugar. As it removes the sugar, your sugar starts to crash. So if I ate lunch at, let's say, 1 o'clock, by 4 p.m. my sugar is actually low. And my body is saying it's too low, please give me some more. That manifests as anxiety simply because the body says, I need the energy.
So once you change your diet around, that anxiety went away.
Yeah, I just started eating really good meals at lunch. There was no crash.
So let's talk about the food. What did you replace your processed food with and all this junk food? What did you replace it with?
Yeah, so what I've learned is that there's 6 categories of food that are absolutely essential. I don't have anything against the rest, but these are the 6 you absolutely need. Fruits, vegetables, lentils, nuts and seeds, good fat, ghee, sesame oil, olive oil, for example. And then what we call fermented foods. So kimchi, kanji, dahi, achar, these kinds of things are really useful. These 6 give you almost 99% of what the human body needs. Then you can layer that with grain, you can layer that with chicken, egg, fish, whatever you like. I have not found science that says it's bad for you. Like we dismiss things like red meat. But even red meat eaten in moderation is not bad for you.
Yeah.
Chicken, egg and fish eaten in moderation is certainly not bad for you.
You're strict vegetarian.
Just culturally.
Culturally, you're Marwadi.
Yeah, we're Marwadi, so we grew up in a strict.
So protein has never been a problem for you?
Not really. Again, I think it's oversold. I don't think you need that much protein. Like I weight train almost every single day. I'm at about 100 grams of protein a day. I'm 60 kilos. So I'm doing 1.5 times my weight in kg. That's more than enough.
So you get 100 grams of protein with vegetarian food. How? Lentils?
Yeah, like the garbanzo bean is the most amazing protein you can find.
Okay.
Lentils, let's say Greek yogurt. One bowl of Greek yogurt is 24 grams of protein. So it's not that hard actually.
For vegetarian. Peanut butter. That's a myth that it's hard.
Myth. It's a myth.
Really?
Yeah.
What about grains? Do you eat grains?
So we do. We eat all kinds of grains, including gluten, including wheat, including atta, including maida. What I've changed is the ratio. So if earlier 80% of my meal was the naan, now 5% of my meal might be the naan. If I look at it over a period of a month, maybe like 5% of my meal is grain.
So what's a good ratio? You think 5% grain? How much fat? How much protein?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it'll be subjective.
Okay.
It'll depend on what your lifestyle is, height, weight, gender, ethnicity adjusted.
Yeah.
But I'd say in overall, if I just give you a very macro picture, I'd say eat a lot of fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
50% maybe. Eat 20% as lentil. The rest of it then you eat as whatever you want.
And you also said another evil you targeted was your coffee.
Yes.
So you stopped drinking coffee.
I mean, I'd like to say I did. I've reduced it dramatically. The inflection point came when my son told me that you're drinking too much coffee is not good for you. And then you keep teaching other people not to do things. So then how can you not do it?
But why was
I was
it
drinking
bad
like 6-7 cups of coffee a day.
Was it making
at
you
that
anxious?
At that much you're over sort of stimulating yourself.
So that helped you also with your disease reversal, like reducing your coffee?
No, the disease reversal I'd fortunately done.
Yeah.
I think this was affecting my sleep a lot.
Yeah.
It was affecting mood also a little bit. I think both of them definitely improved.
So you've given us some examples of someone's blockage who you reduce the blockage from 90 to 60. You've given us some good examples. Any more examples of lifestyle diseases you've helped reverse through Nira Balance?
Yeah, sure, of course. So the 3 stories we are most proud of. Someone had called us with his grandmother who had a morning fasting of 600 and her hands were shaking literally, and obviously the hospital said, listen, she's going to go any minute, so please take her. He called us in panic and said, like, is there anything you can do? We don't advocate a ketogenic diet necessarily, but in this condition that was the only thing that was possible. So we put her on a ketogenic diet for like 7 days. Her blood sugar came to 100 in 7 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
After doing this ketogenic?
Just doing a ketogenic diet, which in this case was the right thing for her.
Otherwise you don't advocate?
Otherwise I don't advocate anything extreme. I am a firm believer in balance. There was another very interesting case. She's actually a very good friend.
Okay.
Her son had a certain condition because of which the muscles were atrophying, and essentially they'd reached a point where they said the heart muscle will atrophy and then he could die. And obviously she called. I'm actually a little bit surprised, but it turned out his vitamin D levels were 0. And so then obviously he was given an injection of vitamin D right there and then. He's fine now.
Do you have medical doctors as part of your outfit also?
No, so we don't. We actually get medical doctors who come to us.
Medical doctors who come to you?
Yeah, for sure.
For what?
So reversal of diseases.
Medical doctors come to you for reversal of diseases?
Yeah, cardiovascular doctor coming for reversal of cardiovascular.
Okay.
Yeah,
and how's that going?
Of course, we do the same things we do for anyone else.
Because I was going to ask, there's always a little bit of this tussle in society, right? Between medics and non-medics who practice alternative techniques or nutrition or functional medicine. I mean, I would say that you incorporate functional medicine in your approach.
Yeah.
You hear medical doctors say other things will not work, you have to be on medication. The rest is all humbug, you know. So I just wanted to ask you, you know, your opinion on this. Do you ever face backlash? I mean, you have medical doctors who come to you, but do you also face backlash?
So first of all, let me just say I absolutely love doctors. We have 2 kids. They would not have been born if Dr. Nozar Sharir was not our gynecologist. Yeah. So I absolutely love doctors. I think there's a very important role they play. There is a point after which even natural intervention cannot help. At which point then you want the doctor to do something.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
So if I busted my knee, I'd obviously go to a doctor. I wouldn't be doing naturopathy on my knee.
Yeah.
At least not to the extent I understand.
Right.
But I think now even doctors are actually saying, if you can prevent or delay, then do that. No, why wouldn't you?
Preventive medicine.
Yeah, if you can prevent something from happening or delay something from happening,
Yeah.
I mean, do it. I don't know, actually not. I think doctors have been very supportive.
That's good to know. And you have doctors coming to you. That's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Yeah.
On your social media, you offer many tips. For many things, for stress, for weight, for insulin resistance, and all that. You've also said you talk about the running paradox, the link between marathon runners and cardiac injury. I mean, I've heard of this before. I know of this, but if you could just elaborate on it.
Sure.
A bit.
I'm going to lose a lot of friends for this. But no, I think
It's a risk we take.
Yeah, I think the human body is designed to walk. I think the human body is not designed to run long distances. It became very popular after a certain event in Greece.
Yeah.
But I don't think the human body is designed to run, at least long distances for prolonged periods.
Yeah.
We are biologically built to walk. I think by far the best thing you can do is walk.
Okay.
When you run long distances and or train at a very extreme level, it obviously has to have some cost. One of the costs that you pay is, for example, athlete's heart. Your heart muscles get enlarged, and that then reduces the capacity to pump blood. It's not for me to make that choice. If you're gifted, you can play tennis at world championship level, then more power to you. But is it for everyone? I think not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much running is okay then?
I don't know if I'm necessarily qualified to give you like a number, but I'd say if you're running, let's say 4-5 kilometers, 3-4 times a week, that's probably okay. That's that's amateur stuff. You're not training like seriously.
Yeah.
But if you're training to run a marathon, let's say 4 marathons a year, there's a price you will pay.
I do know of someone who is pretty fit, a marathon runner who died shortly after a marathon of a cardiac arrest, sudden cardiac arrest.
It's entirely possible.
But marathons are becoming more and more popular now.
Yeah. I wish they could convert them into walkathons.
Walkathons. Yeah. Okay.
Do long distance walking.
So what exercise would you recommend for someone, let's say over 40?
Sure, absolutely. So after 30, your muscles and bones are deteriorating. Let's first talk about women. I think it's absolutely important that women exercise. You start losing estrogen after a certain age.
Yeah.
That has an effect on your bone. Strength training or resistance training is by far the most important thing. If you need inspiration, my mother's 78. She weight trains every single day.
Wow.
Yeah. She's a Marwadi woman, never seen a gym in her life. I would say walk is really important for you. You should do plyometric, which stresses the joints. I think that's really important for you. And stretching, yoga is by far the best.
Yoga is by far
really
the
important
best.
for you.
So you said, and for men, it's
the same.
The same.
Yeah.
But women definitely need weight training, especially as they hit perimenopause
Exactly.
and menopause, right? Because like you said, the estrogen
Exactly.
falls, you lose muscle mass and
exactly. I mean, men would also.
Yeah.
But it's really important for women because in particular, their bones are getting more poor. Right?
So I want to understand this term wellness scientist.
Yeah.
What is a wellness scientist?
Yeah, sure. It's a really good question. So, see, I'm a very logical person and I'm not someone who will sign up for something just because I heard it or because someone said it to me. For me, it's very important that I understand the process, I understand the logic, but more important, I've seen the evidence.
Yeah.
So, the way we built our system was we created what we call if then what. So, if I want to give someone healthy, then what conditions can I? If I wanted to give someone, let's say, carrot, under what conditions can I? And we did a very, very, very thorough research on every single ingredient that we use. Okay. So there'd be, I'd say, maybe 50 research documents backing every ingredient for every condition, for every type. And that became the backbone of the engine that we built.
Okay.
When I'm making a recommendation, it's 100% research backed. So that's, I think, what we mean when we say wellness scientist. Yes, we are professing wellness, we are professing prevention, but it's science-based.
So you talk a lot about, why people get burnt out.
Yeah.
And this whole idea of internal stability and the state called homeostasis. You could explain that to us and why it's so important.
Sure, absolutely. So the human body craves what we call balance. Medically, the word is called homeostasis. Your body has certain battery limits outside of which it can't actually function. And it's always seeking that balance by giving you symptoms and or indication that, for example, if my body temperature is too high, I'll sweat. Right? One of the reasons why I'm sweating is I want to go back to balance. This we learned is literally anchor. Like this is the science of why the human body is healthy or is not healthy. And that became literally the mainstay of what we're trying to do. We are literally trying to bring your body back into balance, homeostasis, and get out of the way.
Bring your body back
Yeah.
into balance.
Yeah.
So in every way, like in terms of your metabolism
Yeah.
and your energy and your ability to recover,
Yeah.
and that, you know, controlling stress levels.
Absolutely. Stress, sleep,
Sleep.
heartbeat, breath rate, metabolism. It doesn't really matter which parameter I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
My goal would always be to bring you back into balance.
Okay, and you talk about a Buddhist technique
Yes.
that you use.
Really interesting. So what began to happen was, we understood the science. We started practicing the science. Other people started following what we were doing. And they'd come back 2 years later and say, listen, what you said was very logical. It really worked miracles for us. But then life happened. Life just came and hit me by, and there was a crisis and something happened. And at that point in time, no logic, no science.
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense, right? Because then all I can see is food. It was also something I experienced. Like I was beginning to see bouts of stress, and then like my willpower, my discipline, and all my knowledge and understanding is going out of the window.
Yeah.
So for me, it became a challenge to understand what. That led me to this discovery, this wonderful term called upekha. Upekha is this concept largely which means being anchored. So you're anchored in one place, and then life revolves around you. So you experience the good, you experience the bad, you experience the joy, you experience the sorrow, but you come back to anchor. And there is a method by which you can literally cultivate being in upekha. You cultivate it through mind practices, you cultivate it through body practices, you cultivate it through breathing practices, you cultivate it by nutrition practices, but it is possible.
So you stay anchored within.
Yes.
Let life happen around you,
Yes.
and how you respond is up to you.
Yes, exactly.
And that brings you into a state of perfect internal stability, like this homeostasis.
Yes.
Homeostasis.
Yes, exactly. And so it's my intent not to oversell the idea. It is my endeavor to be like that. I am not like that today. I still get stressed, I still get worried,
Yeah.
I still get anxious.
We're human.
Yeah, we're human beings, at least I am. So to that extent, it's not my endeavor to say I'm already there. But at least I can see a path.
Okay. You also talk about when the mind finally goes quiet, and you talk about floating and how reducing sensory input changes the way the brain experiences awareness. What is this floating?
Absolutely. So see, the thing is actually on an everyday basis, we are constantly being stimulated, right? Like our phone, our email, people, society, life, right? It's constantly stimulating us. The only way I can respond to the stimulus is through my senses. Touch, sight, sound, smell, whatever. When you deprive yourself of all those stimulation, actually the brain just quiets down because it doesn't have to process that input. And because it's not processing the input, its capacity to focus on everything else.
So what is this floating, lying in salt saturated water?
Yeah, so it's just a pod.
Okay.
You can lie down in the pod because there's lots of salt, so you float naturally. There's no sound, there's no light, and then obviously you deprived of most sensations. And so then when you're in that, you're not looking outside anymore. Your body says, I don't need to. There is no stimulus. So then let me start looking inside. Think about it logically, right? If there was a threat, I could not look inside. I would only look outside.
But you can't lie in salt water all day.
Yes.
That is also a thing.
It's not impractical.
Yeah.
So you can practice this at home.
How?
Right now, this minute, if you shut your eyes and started looking inside, focused on your breath, focused on your heart, focused on your thigh, focused on your leg, it doesn't matter which part of your body, you're signaling to your body you're safe.
You're signaling you're safe.
Yeah, because you could not have done that if you were not.
But in the world we live in, it's very hard to shut yourself off from stimuli.
Yeah, so let me give you the logical reason why.
Okay.
Think about it this way, right? If my body is processing inputs and 90% of it is coming from outside, my brain power is being used to process that input. If I shut down that input because it's safe, actually you just freed up your brain space. You'll do much better. You'll think better, you'll act better, you'll decide better, simply because your brain is free.
So I want to ask you, last question before we go on to conclude this.
Yeah.
What's your take on alcohol?
Again, I'll lose lots of friends. It's not good for you. Not even a drop of alcohol is good for you. I think the science is fairly well discovered.
Yeah.
At a practical level, if you want to drink, drink moderately, drink slowly, eat before you drink, and drink lots of water alongside.
Okay.
That makes it safer to drink. But if you cannot drink, then please don't drink.
Okay. I take it you don't
I
drink.
don't drink.
All right. Fine. Vegetarian and you don't
Yeah,
drink.
yeah.
It's a healthy lifestyle. If we could end with some non-negotiable lifestyle changes that one has to make, whether it's nutrition, sleep, movement, whatever.
Sure.
If you could give us a few.
Sure, absolutely. I think as human beings, we look for shiny objects. They are attractive, and then we see that everywhere. And then we get FOMO, like someone's doing it, I'm not. So I might as well sort of try it. I'd say the first thing is please stay away from shiny objects.
Okay.
Because that's not the cure.
So shiny objects as in?
Anything fancy, anything that sounds very attractive, alluring, has a fancy name to it.
All right.
Is being sold to you as a fancy, like cure-all kind of a thing. I think the answers lie in the basics, which is eat less, walk as much as you can, sleep for at least 7 hours a night, build lots of friends, meditate if you can, and then slow down your breathing as much as you can. So the ideal breath is actually 6 per minute. Most people are breathing at 25. So the more you can slow down your breath, the more anchored you are, the more calm your body is. And actually, frankly, that much better you can do at life.
Okay, great. Those are some wonderful tips. But I did want to ask you one thing. You said stay away from shiny objects that people are trying to sell. You mean that people are trying to sell sort of certain magical cures? Is that what you're talking about?
I think there's a lot of that out there.
What's your take on Ozempic and Mounjaro?
So we see the blowback.
You see the blowback.
We see the blowback. It's not fun.
It's not fun.
No, the blowback's not fun.
As in what do you mean?
Lots of things. Metabolism gets affected. The minute you're off, then actually your whole digestive process is getting affected. And again, if you need it, a medical doctor is telling you to take it, I'd say obviously you have to evaluate it. But we definitely have seen the side effects.
Okay, so you'd rather go with these lifestyle changes and you think, that would have much better results?
Because they work. If they didn't work, then I would not say it. But if they work, then why not?
What's one mantra you swear by?
Sleep early, wake up early.
Sleep early and wake up early. Okay.
It's something I do every single day.
That's great. Thank you so much,
pleasure.
Ritesh. Wonderful talking to you.
Likewise.
Thank you for being on
Your
Pulse
pleasure.
Life
Thank you
today.
for having me.